Stop being bitter at the battle you're going through. Joshua and Caleb said the giants will be our daily bread. So the fight of faith that you're in is actually God giving you the food. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, he prepares a table before me. And so have the courage, have the faith to persevere in this battle, because stop being bitter. Stop being, disgruntled by your circumstances in the storm you're in. God has made a way through the storm or for the storm to be calmed. And it's in this moment where oftentimes we curse the ground because we think we're buried, but we're actually being planted by God to bear a harvest in the season to come. Because if you curse the ground today, you are cursing the fruit that ground is going to bear tomorrow. This idea Romans 8:28 talks about, I'm going to pull it up because it's such a good scripture. Romans 8:28. It's this amazing idea that, and we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. So you may be going through a bad season where it's bitter in your mouth, but somehow God can turn it around, use all those ingredients to be a blessing in your and my life. And I went through a season where I had the opportunity where it's like, am I going to choose bitterness because I feel underpaid, underappreciated, utilized, whatever? Or am I going to trust God? Am I going to be a servant, pick up my cross, lay down my life? Because you see Joseph, who was in the prison, and he chose to serve, and God's favor was on him. He chose humility rather than becoming bitter and angry. He had a good attitude through that season, and God exalted him to the right hand of Pharaoh. No one else had greater authority in the land of Egypt. And if you will choose to submit to God's process, he will prepare you for the promise, for the palace, because what's inside you is what he's refining. You may be going through the fire right now, either through a situation, or the Lord refining you, disciplining you, pruning you. Let him do it. Submit to the potter's hand to mold the clay, to mold you into the vessel of honor, to be an instrument of righteousness in his hands. And I think that's when I could start to, turn the other cheek, knowing that God's got me. I don't have to worry. He is more committed to bringing about the promise, so I can submit to the process of what God's doing. I can submit because I know he's going to use it. Because he's also changing the internal attitude of my heart. Because am I going to choose bitterness, pride, envy, jealousy, all of that, and distort? Or am I going to let God refine my heart to be humble enough to be a pure vessel of righteousness as I trust him? I'm not going to self-exalt, self-promote, or complain in unbelief, but I'm going to believe that God can use whatever I'm going through for his glory and my good. I'm going to trust him as I walk through the wilderness to the promised land, because I don't want to be a pauper inside my heart with the victim mentality, because then I'll take a palace and make it a prison. But if I am a prince and have nobility and godly qualities and the fruit of the Spirit, and am a victor in my heart because of what Jesus did at the cross, and I bless instead of curse, and unless a seed dies and is planted, it will not bear a harvest. And so we need to pick up our cross. Instead of being bitter, angry Christians, let the world recognize us by our love. And they'll see what we're going through, and it's like, wow, they're living unoffended with forgiveness, and they're blessing their enemies. They're turning the other cheek. They're going 2 miles when they were only asked to go a mile. They're living like Jesus. And when Jesus chose humility and obedience to the point of death on the cross, and when we do likewise and choose humility and obedience, that's when God exalts us. So don't curse the ground that the enemy is trying to bury you in, but you're being planted by God to take root deeply, to bear fruit upward for the kingdom. trust him in the process. He's doing a mighty work in your life.